Secret friends, unite!
Welcome to the Secret Friends Unite podcast, episode 439. This is your guide to the geek side. And I'm Todd Oxtra, the man with horrible mics this episode. I'm recording on a better mic right now for the intro, but just let you know that my podcast mic broke. I've now fixed it, and the rest of the podcast will not sound so great because I was using a standard old mic. So just a heads up on that. Thank you all for being patient. And now on with the show.
Oh my goodness, mister, I've got new tech. And then my new tech sucks. I'm going back to the old tech. You know what? I mean, I've got this microphone and now I have these headphones and they'll have to die before I switch because it's like disarming a bomb. Don't touch anything.
Well, the mic and the headset are the ones I've had for 2 years. It's the PC that's brand new.
Oh, there you go.
It's my old laptop died, so I don't have a choice. I mean, I'm in the new hardware. And,
I have two laptops now. The older one is down here. The newer one is upstairs. So when this dies, obviously it'll rotate over. Yeah. But anyway,
literally, this is an $1,800 piece of equipment, so it's all high-end stuff. I just don't know what's going on with it. So
I was going to say, you know what, this without a doubt supplants the talk of the weather. But I'm Charlie. Hello, I'm back from traveling the United States of America. April and I did 4,300 miles around the country to Star Trek Las Vegas, and then back again, and saw a lot of sights and saw a lot of sights that I probably didn't need to see because it was like, oh, New Mexico, oh, Northern Texas. Oh, Southern Missouri. Yeah, exactly. Not to disrespect it. If we have listeners in those places, feel free to @me me at the C3 at Twitter. If I've made you mad, I will apologize. But it didn't blow me away. And Todd's favorite, the nostalgia of every town has a Route 66 museum.
And nothing happened there. It's all they have. I lived in eastern New Mexico for about 2 years, and it's a place of nothing. So if you like wide open spaces, tumbleweeds,
the Cadillac Ranch in Armorillo, Texas.
Oh,
I took a picture and I put it on Facebook of me just going, I just don't get it. And there were 50 kids out there with spray cans spraying those things. I
called it the New Mexico Triangle: Amarillo, Lubbock, and Clovis. Nothing in between.
It must be akin to tipping cows. But anyway, it's great to be back. Todd, what do we got going on?
Oh my goodness. We just want to say we are still supporting the writers and the actors. We're talking almost 4 months of the writer's strike, a month and a half of the actor strike, and with, as of this point, no progress made. So if you can support the writers and the actors, although Bob Disney is now saying we want this to end as quick as possible because we are burning through cash and have no content.
Yeah, exactly. You figure, and it was funny. A few months ago, it was like, oh, we're just going to starve these people out. Screw them. But yeah, you don't get more money without what they do. So anyway, yes, we support them. Please visit the Entertainment Fund and contribute. We made a small contribution, but absolutely everything helps. But speaking of contributions, we enjoy the what was capable for us to make our financial contribution was our wonderful Patreons. These are the people that support us and give us the capacity to make more great new content. You can visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite for a free 1-week trial of all of our fun shows. And if you want to stay on, we would love it. But of course, we always want to pay homage to our great pals, like on the Best Buds level, Jamie Prinky. BFF's level is the awesome Nias family, Sean, Stella, and Henry. My super great pal, Missy Merchant, and her friend, Andy Milken. And we have a great new member, somebody who has been not only on this program, but he's an ongoing contributor over on our Star Trek show, Code 47. That would be Mr. Luke Lore, the insipid ghost, joined up as a patron. So, Luke, hopefully you're out there enjoying some of our new content. And thank you very much. Again, it's very easy to visit patreon.com/secretfriendsunite and try us for a free week at any tier. And if you like what you hear, stay on and join us. We love it. Todd, man, did I ever miss out on your I thought your cover disappeared because you had an extra space. Keep scrolling. From November of 1984. Oh, that was a weird time for me. That was right when I moved out of the Detroit area. I was living here in Grand Rapids, but I wasn't reading DC Comics, and boy was I missing out, because you gave us issue 39 of the All-Star Squadron, and this is a vintage copy because it looks like there's a coffee stain on it. Roy Thomas is the writer. Roy Thomas, very famous for writing, I know, the Avengers in the 1970s. That was kind of one of his big
Right, he wrote Thor for a while too.
Yeah, there you go. I can barely really recognize some of these members. I see the dude that Brendan Fraser plays on Doom Patrol. That's him in the background, right?
Let's see. At this point, you've got a mix of different characters. I mean,
Yeah.
the biggest issue with the All-Star Squadron is it is essentially taking the Justice Society of America from the 40s. This book is taking place in the 40s, and it was kind of telling tales of that era with the Justice Society and other characters.
Right.
Yeah, so
and I do love that they've taken my hometown of Detroit, Michigan, clearly illustrated here, surrounded in flames, because you know what, we saved that until the riots of '67. Okay, give us a break. Actually, I think there was a big race riot in Detroit in the '20s. I remember from my Michigan history class that I took at MSU. But you had a black fella in a green outfit punching a white guy with blonde hair in another mask, saying, "Go back where you came from, All Stars. Detroit is Amazing Man territory." Even Amazing Man itself, the letters are green. And you know what? We have a long Irish heritage in the city of Detroit and in Southeast Michigan, so I appreciate that. Good deal. Black Irish. There you go.
Yes. So a lot of these characters that are like kids of the Justice Society of America, it was essentially Roy Thomas wanted to tell stories of the Justice Society of America in a modern lens. But once again, this whole time with DC, the Crisis era where they were blending the different Earths and everything like this. This would have been probably Earth 12. I don't know at this point.
But it was pre-crisis, so it was kind of a mess. So, but anyway, speaking of the 40s, if you really want to hear about the 40s back when, bread cost a nickel and you had to pull up to the gas station and get petroleum, distill it and revulcanize your tires post-haste, a la Mr. Burns, that would be our senior news correspondent, Madam Webb, down at the corner of Hollywood and Vine since 1917. She's been doing it for over 100 years, not just for us, but now she works for us. Talking about Madam Webb with our scoops from around the way. Let's go.
Now it's time for Madam Webb's rumors and news. Take it away, boys.
Thank you, Madam Webb. Madam Webb, this episode is going to do a deep dive into worst sequels, and I believe they already have your sequel already lined up, and I can tell it's going to be great because they're going to give you an animal sidekick. They will add a child kidnapped constantly, and they'll add
kids are good
13 villains that honestly get no screen time. It's a perfect recipe for success.
It is. That is a Spider-Man film. Yeah, they just cast Sydney Sweeney as Julia Carpenter or something in the Madam Web movie. I thought Sydney Sweeney from Euphoria. And, oh my goodness, I swear that was a blurb I saw somewhere. Maybe it was just lies from Twitter. I'm sorry.
Euphoria,
but anyway,
the worst life of any pre-adolescent teen.
One episode of that, and April was like, "Even I can't watch this," so we turned it off. No. It is drugs and a lot of nudity.
I'm sure all of their lives turn out great.
Right. You're right. I don't need to watch 2 seasons of, and let's do some more drugs. So anyway, speaking of things that it absolutely says TV show is still happening here. We were having a debate about the story in the B-roll because the headline is Wonder Woman 3 reportedly not in development.
No,
TV
there's
show
a
still
separate
happening.
TV show apparently, but Wonder Woman 3 is the movie.
All right, take it away. Take it away then. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. So we've been hearing about Gal Gadot saying, yes, there's going to be a Wonder Woman 3. I met with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and it's going to obviously happen. I'm a big fan of the character. Want it to happen. And
I thought you were going to say, and I'm a big star. I'm like, are we still talking about The Rock?
Kind of a big deal.
I'm a big star.
Don't you know who I am, as they always say.
I'm a big deal.
Yes, and we're hearing this is probably not going to happen because if this was going to happen, remember when James Gunn said, these projects are all part of the next universe? And Gal Gadot, while she is young, everything that's laid out has probably got us until 2030. So are we really going to wait till 2032 for a Wonder Woman 3, considering how great the last one did? And the last time we saw her was in Shazam. Was it Shazam 2?
Yeah.
No, we saw her in The Flash. Was the last movie we saw her, and that did so well.
Yeah, but she didn't have a role. Oh no, yeah, she did. Yeah, you're right. You see how incredibly forgettable that movie is. And it would be one thing if Wonder Woman 1984, so Wonder Woman 2, struggled because it was COVID and it came out Christmas Day 2020. So it would be one thing, because I remember I was sitting with a roaring fire in April and I were sitting in our den watching it. And I'm like, man, I'm psyched for this. We get to watch it at home. I can stop. I can get a beer. I can, we can have lunch or something. It's going to be great. And it was dog shit. It was such a bad movie. And it was a collective of everybody. That was a tough one. And that was now 3 years gone by. Writer strike, universe is getting a complete dump and scrub, as I always used to describe it when I worked for my dad and he had a film processor. To clean it, you would dump out all the chemicals, scrub it down, and fill it up again. That's what DC's doing. So yeah, if she didn't get named in the following, it's kind of like tryouts for baseball. Following people have made the team, and you go through the list and your name's not there. Gal Gadot and The Rock were not on the list. I'm sorry to say.
Not on the list, no. And, they did announce something that's associated with Wonder Woman. It's basically a series about the Amazons. It's called Paradise Lost, and it's about the history of the Amazons. So predating Diana. I mean, we know she's been around, but I mean, probably maybe at best we get her as a child. I don't know if I'm really interested in all in this prequel series.
Yeah, it's kind of like Krypton, right? Like I never watched that show on Sci-Fi.
I mean, I liked the prequel to Game of Thrones.
Lower Decks.
So I've been proven wrong. Maybe it could be good, but as of right now, prequels rarely work. When they work, it's the exception to the rule. So
very true.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's like I said, that's the only thing that's been announced with Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, I will say this: I think she's a good Wonder Woman. But the majority of the movies she's been in as Wonder Woman have not been good. So it ultimately says, is it the character, the writing, is it her? I don't know, but it just has not worked out in her favor.
I'd like to think it's not her. You and I collectively, we enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. We thought, her rogues gallery of, traveling heroes and stuff, they were pretty lame. We like Chris Pine. The stuff on the Amazon island was pretty cool. But yeah, when you get around to the second one, you just thought you had an absolute recipe for success. Oh, you've got Pedro Pascal, the Mandalorian is the villain. And then you've got, Cheetah was Kristen Wiig, and who doesn't love her? It seemed like all the bits were there to have a great film. So, I get the feeling, if this is, 6 or 7 years out there, I don't know that age is an issue, but it could be because, I mean, the Spider-Men aged out. They wanted to have Peter Parker, be a late teen, early 20-something because that's really the character in his prime. So, and Wonder Woman is supposed to be ageless, but,
Exactly. It doesn't really work. But I don't think she's a very good actress, to be honest. She didn't stand out. She even good actors can overcome some of this product, but when I saw her in it,
really?
She didn't let the screen on fire either. So it's not like she was elevating with her craft, and she's been in other movies. And what else? She wasn't great in the Fast and Furious movies, and
it's not like she's Helen Mirren coming along and I'm gonna save Wonder Woman. I mean, Helen Mirren didn't save Shazam 2. Playing a kind of a one-note villain. But anyway, so this is, in a way, it's kind of a nothing burger. The prequel series doesn't grab me. Definitely sounds like it'd be for the diehards. And, there are diehards of every character, every genre out there. So who knows? So anyway, all right, moving along to a show that we're actually going to watch because it's on October the 6th. Loki season 2 is getting a tie-in deal with a fast food place that I will never eat at. I'm talking about McDonald's. If I'm really in a pinch, this has happened twice in the last year. I'm like, I can't sit down and get some for lunch. I will go through the drive-through at Burger King. I will get that original chicken sandwich, and that's no fries, and that's as far as I'll go. But I'm funny like that. But you know what? McDonald's is still the biggest fast food joint in the universe. So yes, now they're teaming up with struggling Bob Disney's cash burning organization, because it's a product tying to the show. You've seen, scattered through time. You see Loki, you see Luke Wilson's character, who is Oh God, it's on the tip of my tongue. Not Maestro. What's the name of his character? Maestro.
It's not Mobius, is it?
It is Mobius, thank you. And then Sylvie, who is an alt version of Loki. She is in the 1970s working at a McDonald's in the full McDonald's attire with the cute hat. So but that should be fun. The sweet and sour sauce as featured in Loki. Wasn't that the sweet and sour sauce that they brought back for Rick and Morty? Was that Szechuan? I think it was Szechuan.
That was the Szechuan sauce, which caused like riots and all this crazy stuff.
My son was like, who was a big Rick and Morty fan, was really, and it was a whole thing. Man, I got to get down to McDonald's.
Good
Why? It's the same shit, but yes, exactly. So, but anyway, how are we feeling about Loki season 2? We've got 3 months, and with the exception of Ahsoka, which is coming out just here in a couple of weeks. Is that the only TV we have on the docket? And we're coming off of Secret Invasion, and oh my God, I've not talked to anyone who enjoyed Secret Invasion. So, does this mean the bar is really high, or does it mean the bar is really low?
I think the bar, I think when Marvel hits specific things, it does really well.
Right.
We all enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 3 because we knew the crew of people we loved. We had a director who knew how to do this, and it was managing characters we grew to love, and it was telling a complete story with them. It wasn't racing to the next story beat and tying in the next thing. It really didn't care about that. Loki seems like, once again, it's divorced from the overall, has to tie everything in, but it's confident setting things up. But it's more importantly focused on telling its own story.
With bits.
Correct. And I like Loki as a character. He's one of the standouts of the MCU.
True.
And Owen Wilson's great. They've got a good camaraderie. And I don't know what the end game will be with the show, if it's to get Loki back alive in the MCU.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
But I at least have confidence in this character and the storytelling within it to make me happy. Secret Invasion, it already was batting at a lower entry point because it was not duplicating the Marvel Comics series, which was beloved. It was doing something completely different, and they spent $200 million on Secret Invasion. Charlie,
I know, it's staggering for 6 episodes.
To sit around and Sam Jackson get tired.
Yeah, the only thing that would stand out from a CGI effect was the CGI monster slug out in the last episode, which was people laughed at it as near as I can tell. It was poorly executed, and it was just So the less said about that is one that I cannot envision a time I would ever watch it again. And I, in this day and age, there are things that, with the exception of the Star Treks, which I do for my show, there are very few things that are newer that I go back and rewatch. This would definitely not be one of them. I've not watched Loki season 1 again, though I think I probably will, just as a refresher. But yeah, no, I enjoy it as well. And you're right, with Guardians, it was nice. All 3 of those films were really self-contained, apart from other things that were happening, even though at the end of Endgame, now Thor's with us, and then they came along the Thor movie and he left, and that, but you didn't need to know that.
We've completed our required commitment to the MCU. Well,
let me get the clip. Check. We're good. Let me flip it over. Check. Yeah. So yeah, exactly correct. So yeah, this is fun, and I would love to see a McDonald's with an actual tag at the bottom that has the infinity symbol, infinity variant served. I don't know if they're really going to do that. I really hope so. If I see one, I will take a picture and put it on. I'll put it on our Discord. I promise. So that'll be fun. That comes out on October 6th, but on what did they say? August 14th, which is happening when you're listening to this. This will. The meal collection, as they describe it, will be out. So if you're out there enjoying the new sweet and sour Loki season 2, hit us up on social media at Secret Friends U on Twitter or X, and show us a picture. We love it. All right,
synergy.
Todd, next story is yours, because John Wick for me is just woo.
John Wick. Series that I was late to the party but really enjoyed it. Some of the best action combat in movies I've ever seen. Really stylish. It's really great. And I enjoyed the world of John Wick, which is essentially assassins with rules, and one of those rules is the Continental is Continental is essentially a safe space for assassins. It's the
Oh,
biggest,
like
it's-
the what was that movie that came out a couple of years, Bad Night at the Royale or some such?
no, I know
It's
what
the
one you're talking about with Jodie
it's the same
Foster
concept.
and
Yeah.
Dave. Yeah, so same concept where yes, you check in at the Continental, you present them with basically these gold coins that get you in its currency within the Assassins network.
Oh, it's itchy and scratchy money.
Essentially, yeah, and you
It's
there's
just more fun.
no business can be conducted in the Continental in regards to killing people. So
Right. There you
that
go.
is one of the key rules. And one of the main characters, Winston, he runs the Continental in New York. There are Continentals all over the globe. And this is essentially Winston's tale. How he got to run the Continental and the world of all of the assassins. So this one is Winston. It's set in 1970s New York. They're
Ooh,
embracing
I like
the
setting.
subject material, and it looks like it's going to be a high budget show because when I saw the combat scenes they were showing, pretty impressive. Ian McShane plays, Winston in modern times, but there is a young actor portraying him, Colin Waddell, and Milton
Gotcha.
Gibson's in this too.
Oh
He's
my
playing
gosh.
I don't know if he's playing like the Continental who runs the Continental at the time. I don't know why they picked him. I mean, the guy's got a lot of baggage.
Yeah, honestly, what's the last thing you saw Mel Gibson in? I couldn't name anything. I mean, he burned a lot of his bridges after the Passion of the Christ, and then some.
Oh no, he burned his bridges when he got pulled over by the cop, and I
was just about to say, but the Passion of the Christ was a little heavy-handed.
Oh really?
Yeah.
He became even more successful. That movie did exceedingly well.
No, I think it did well.
Yeah.
I just think it was really heavily. Really dovetails really nicely into the thing that got him canceled, which was exactly what you just mentioned, his overall nature of what he had to say to the policeman. We don't need to get into that, but
that's really what got him out, and it's like he's not a good guy.
Yeah, I just feel like he's been out of the zeitgeist for. I mean, I'd have to wiki it to figure out, but I feel like that was at least 15 years ago, maybe longer.
I've heard they're going to make a sequel to Passion of the Christ, and I don't know how you make that work. I mean, coming of Christ.
You saw him walk out of the tomb. So what did he do then? He goes to town and gets rowdy. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. I guess that's documented in some Bible or something.
The Bible part 2.
Exactly. It's a little odd. Oh well.
Oh my God. Oh
I mean,
boy.
once again, yes, they could go deeper into the Bible. It is fine.
Oh my God.
And
that's crazy.
At this point, this is going to be on Peacock, which means I have it. I can watch this.
Yeah, same.
It's kind of a big deal that they have this to basically grab on after. And we didn't talk about Charlie, but Twisted Metal has been a surprise hit.
Oh my God, I've been meaning to tune into that. That's on Peacock, right? And it's just basically Anthony Mackie driving around in a junker car and getting into stuff, right?
Yeah, Stephanie Beatrice from Brooklyn Nine-Nine is in it too.
Oh God, I love her.
What's his name? Thomas Hayden Church is playing a cop in it. It's very clever.
Oh gotcha, and that's on. Is that all out now, or is it weekly?
It's all. I think it's week. Like they drop 2 episodes and it's out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's all dropped. I don't know. It's fun.
Okay.
The episode's only half hour long. It's an action comedy. So
I'll take a peek. We're wrapping up the Bear on Hulu, which has that guy's name. He was from Shameless. Is the main character. Great show, but it just ended. Yeah. So look for something new. So well, cool. And then I have kind of a figure story at the end. I'm an avid figure collector. You can see just a piece of it in the background. It was funny. I had a bunch of pre-orders and stuff that came in both while I was gone, right before I got gone, and then I picked up some stuff on the road. I went to Mile High Comics out in Denver, which was kind of a big deal for me. I met Chuck Vorzansky, who runs it. We may actually interview him on the show at some point, which I'm very excited about. But anyway, picked up some figures there, blah, blah, blah. But when I came back, I had a stack of figures that I had to put on my shelves, and I had to take some stuff down because I have a toy show I'm selling. I always sell the older version if I get some, existing character. But here's one that's it's been on my Amazon list, but I'm like, I'll bet I'll never pick this up. In Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which was a huge smash film this summer, there was a cyborg Spider-Woman that was essentially built off of basically the Hulk's frame, the Hulk or Juggernaut, just a gigantic female character. As I recall, it's a Spider-Man character wrapped in chains with spikes on the shoulder blade and a big gun for an arm. $58 retail. $58 for a character you've never heard of. And I've just been keeping an eye out, and when it's like maybe $17, maybe I'd pick it up and put it on my Spider-Verse shelf. But anyway, if this is something that intrigues you, there is a cut scene, and it's weird because I bought it on streaming. So if it's a cut scene that's coming out, does that mean I'll look and the cut scene's there? I haven't looked. But anyway, we'll be talking a little bit about this character. Will have a little bit more of a feature. So I'm not, and I can't possibly know all the Spider-Verse characters. I loved the first Spider-Verse miniseries back in 2014 that gave us Spider-Gwen or Ghost Spider, whatever the hell you want to call her, and popularized, Miles got really big at that point, and that was right around the time he came to the 616 universe. So yes, a cyborg Spider-Woman. So Todd, where do you stand with this kind of stuff? Do you think it's cheap and gimmicky? That's how I felt.
Charlie, what do you think Star Wars is based on? Hey, look, a character. Let's make it. I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Star Wars essentially has, 12 main characters, yet there's how many action figures?
Here's the guy in the back. It's Bill Box Slim Stro in the back of Jabba's court. So, I don't know.
I saw this one at Target. It's there. It's already out. Yeah,
$58. No, it came out, and it was one of, Spider-Verse was a big marketing push in April or May, because a couple months before. I mean, Todd, you know merchandise, retailing.
Mm-hmm.
That came out a couple months, and then when the stuff doesn't really land, like, I feel terrible about the Indiana Jones line that came out, because Patrick, friend of the show, who guested with us a few weeks back, that's his job. He works at Hasbro and he reps that, and the line has peaked. And it's starting to find its way into clearance, which I feel bad about, because it's a cool line, but it's kind of limited. But this is even more difficult, because you're like, okay, it's Spider-Verse and there's 48,000 characters. So here's a $60 one that didn't play a role in the movie. So I don't know, maybe the scene will come out, people see it, and all of a sudden that $58 character will be worth $5,800. There you
That's
go.
A character
Most
I leave in the box, never take out, because they probably made like 12 of them, and then somebody will eventually want it, and it's made money.
You better
in
believe
12
it.
years.
Yes, it's the same methodology as speculative comic buying in the 1990s with Image Comics, because you see how well that worked out. Anyway, that is the end of the news, Todd. Time to get out that Fuber app, the Feeble Uber app. We've got to get down to Scugtown, Nastyville. The Geek Easy awaits for us to talk about stuff we're enjoying, so let's get to it.
Talk nerdy to me. Talk nerdy to me.
We're sitting at the Geek Easy, cover band's playing, drinks are poured, and we are ready to get our nerd on. So I went to the movies on Friday, and I saw a new horror film that I think we even talked about it before it was coming out. It was called The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Yeah.
And this is essentially, it's covering in Bram Stoker's Dracula, the voyage of Dracula from Romania to England. And essentially it's like a blurb in the book. They essentially said, let's turn it into a movie. So it's essentially a boat murder mystery. You're trapped on a boat, and that's kind of
I'm on a boat, and it's going down, and it looks thrilling. I mean, we were going to the movies yesterday, and I'm going to talk about what we saw. But as we're driving, April's like, well, I picked that one, but if you want to see something else, I said, well, the other one is the Dracula boat movie, and Oxford saw it, so he's going to cover it, because I was looking at the flow yesterday before, so I'm like, what am I going to talk about? So, break it down for me. So let me guess, at the end of the mystery was the killer Dracula?
You might be right. No, it's exactly that. It's essentially covering, it's a suspenseful monster movie. It is not shying away from Dracula at all. You'll get into it very quickly. The cast is great. Corey Hawkins plays Clemens. Yep. He's like the
Dr. Dre.
Yep.
Yeah. Dr. Dre. Oh, he's Dr. Dre, and he was on The Walking Dead. Can't remember the name of his character.
Correct. Then you've got Liam Cunningham. He was
Robert
Davos
Baratheon?
from Davos, the hand.
Oh, Davos. There you go.
He was great. So he's in it. David Dalmatian is in this as well.
Ah, yes.
So I think the cast was really good.
Is David Dalmatian Dracula?
No, he's not.
Damn it!
And he had another weird accent. I couldn't exactly pin it. Was it British, or was it like European British, something or other? I don't know. But I thought the movie had a lot of promise. I think it looked looked well done. It was like $45 million, so that's pretty good budget for this type of film. The
The
setup
budgets
was
are just
really
the
good.
budgets are just going to keep going down because the way movies fail.
Well, typically horror films don't have a huge budget, so
Oh yeah, they don't need it. Yeah.
it looked good for what was spent. Now, I think this movie fell into a lot of tropes. I didn't think it added much to the table. The Dracula, you see him primarily as a creature. I think it's even revealed in the trailer, and you don't see him as a man. And it's essentially
I'm a man.
and I don't want to give anything away, but there is only one part of the movie where I feel like it gives you a little feel for like, okay, this could go someplace in the future. I don't know if it ever will, but I think it gets points for style, but I think it didn't do anything special to be like rush out and see this movie, pay full price. If you have a movie pass like yourself, Charlie, like I
Yep.
I got a free movie out of this because the reward thing I'm on with the movie
Yep,
theater
yep.
where I go see 2 movies a month for free because that works for me. I ended up getting a movie for free, so it didn't take away. So it was perfect for me. I'm going to see Blue Beetle next weekend, so I've got plenty of movies to get through.
Good.
I've got movies in the bank.
Blue Beetle is that can be your Fantastic Four 2015 because I will not go see that one. Just I saw
really?
another trailer and I'm like, I just think it looks terrible.
I think it looks okay. It doesn't look like, oh, what did they do that's horrible? I mean, the cast looks good, and
Maybe.
I like Miguel. I mean, from
It's my it's.
we'll
you
see
know,
how the
Susan-
reviews go. I don't think it's going to get horrible reviews. It's not going to be
Susan's-
like
it's
Morbius.
not-
I don't think.
Susan Sarandon is the arch. That's
I
why I said
think
we
a
were seeing
lot
the
of
trailer.
people have a lot of just out for blood for Blue Beetle just because it's tied to DC and all. I think it's like
Yeah.
it's not going to get a fair shake so whatsoever. People are just going to avoid it because DC. So I just feel really bad for that movie because
I
it's
can't
guilt by
disagree.
association.
Yeah,
So
you bet.
So if you get a chance, I think if you like horror films, this will do nothing new. It's not overly gruesome or grotesque.
That's good.
But it's like I said, it's nothing special. So little sad that they didn't do much with the premise.
Oh
Yes.
boy.
So moving on to something I watched. You watched it, Charlie, and that
Of
is
course.
Star Trek. I guess it would be the penultimate episode of season 2. Strange New Worlds.
Subspace Rhapsody. Yes.
Yes. This is episode 9. It's a musical episode.
Yes.
While I love musicals and I love musical episodes, this was a mixed bag for me. I thought the songs largely were not good, and that was the biggest problem.
You know what? This is kind of a rare alignment of the moon, but because the soundtrack is out there now, and I saw I saw the episode a week early because I have the screener, and the same thing with the finale. Have you seen the finale yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so we'll obviously not going to touch on that, and we won't be talking about this or the finale on Code 47 for a bit. We've kind of spaced things out because we're going to dry up on content. So I agree with you. I've been listening to the songs because they're out on all music services. So I have Amazon Prime Unlimited, and I've listened to the songs a bit. And you're right, I really don't care for them. But the thing, and it's funny because April and I were talking about this at lunch today. They still made a good musical episode because they were able to parse it into a Star Trek premise. We're at a thing. There's an anomaly. It's causing a blah blah blah, and it's not unlike classic TOS episode, The Naked Time, where there's a virus that makes everybody act like they're drunk, and they did the exact same thing in an early episode of TNG. It's a very Star Trek premise that worked out, but I'm 100% with you. The songs, because I've been listening to them, I'm like, yeah, I just the lyrics is like something about camera, I'm the camera obscura, or it just this weird like, I know what it is because I'm a fairly well-read individual, but it's camera obscura, it's just not very poppy, not very, it just didn't, you're right, it didn't click for me. And, that might lend me in some hot water when, I'm talking about this on my Star Trek show with people like Jen and Kay and Missy who are gaga for it, but love the premise, did not care for the songs.
Yeah, execution was, and I'll give all the actors, they did a hell of a job. They did not sleep on this. They did their best, but Uhura had the worst songs overall. I mean,
and she is a award-winning Broadway musician.
Yeah. I mean,
And Christina Chong just released a 4-song EP. I was listening to it before we started recording today. I met her in Las Vegas. What a lovely young lady. So she, there was some real singing happening in this, but there were also some real songs that were just like, it was just kind of meh.
yeah,
I'm with you.
and considering we've had so many musical episodes of TV shows, this one just felt like it was just duplicating. They weren't adding anything new to the table. Yes, they brought in the anomaly that makes you sing. I mean, that was Buffy. What's more appealing? There's a demon that makes you sing. That was almost 25 years ago.
Is that what that was?
Exactly.
I don't think it's funny, because again, I just covered, and you'll be hearing it later this month on our Patreon, the first season of Buffy I covered with our frequent collaborator, Kelly Gettner, who lives out in Wisconsin. And then years ago, you and me and John did give me 5 episodes of your favorite show, and we all watched them and talked about them. I don't feel like we did the musical because I don't think I've seen it.
I don't know if we did or not. The issue with that is, this is where I think it gets tough when you do something like this, because musical is all about saying and seeing things that are truths in a different format. I think this was too early for Strange New Worlds to do it, because these characters don't have enough depth yet. Like Uhura, she is my parents died. That's my story. My parents died. My family died. I'm sad.
Right. She doesn't have
Yeah.
She doesn't have a burn romance or whatever. But though that was the focus in and obviously with Chapel and Spock's story. But anyway, all right. Well, if you are looking to hear more about this and to hear me probably get torn to shreds by my co-hosts, tune in later in this month, and you'll be able to listen to us talk about this.
Stand firm, Charlie. Don't let them sway you and say, "No, by the way, I do think that was good. You changed my mind."
Well, as I said, it was 50-50 for me, because I liked the fact that they made it a Star Trek premise, but I just didn't care for the songs, and that is what I'm saying.
That is ultimately what kills a musical. If the songs suck, it could be the greatest musical in the world. You're like,
it's funny you should say that, because when we were driving through Oklahoma, I was in Oklahoma the musical my freshman year of high school, so I brought up the soundtrack. We played it for a little while. And we're like, let's turn this shit off. It's terrible.
Well, it's from the 50s, man. I mean,
I know.
It's a different time. This is a modern musical, man. When I think of what modern musicals are out there, I mean, the Greatest Showman, that is a phenomenal musical, and it's brand new. Yeah.
A lot of great songs, but again, set in the past and really romanticizing P.T. Barnum, who's apparently a monster. So we don't need to talk about that. All right, moving on. April and I wrapped up a show over on Max, or HBO Max if you prefer, that we've been watching for a little while, but we got through the end of it. It's a 3 seasons, 10 episode each, called The Other Two. And I feel like I've touched upon this before, but it starts out with, it's a family from Ohio. There's 3 kids. 2 of them are in their
we've already covered this before.
Yeah, 2 of them are in their early 30s.
Is it over now or no?
You know what? That's what we were trying to figure out. I think it is over, but to the point that everything is over right now. If something hasn't been produced, it's over.
No, it's been renewed. That's the biggest question.
That's what I don't. That's what I don't know. But it's cool, because this was, it's the SNL family, and this actually ended with a twist that was kind of interesting, because you had the sister character who was she was an agent, and she quit the business to, I want to do something good with my life, and then in the end of it, sorry for the spoilers, in the end of it, there's a family scandal, and the only way to get out of a scandal in the PR world is to find a scapegoat, and she makes herself the scapegoat and gets herself canceled. But in the end of it, by doing that, she picks up, the last scene of the show is her phone is ringing nonstop with people in Hollywood who want her to come on board to be their scapegoat. She said, I can do good by doing bad. So I love the message in there, but no, it's a funny show. It's very irreverent. It's very racy. And again, it's 10 episode watches are easy, because you can knock one out in a weekend, or knock one out in a couple of weeks if you just happen to be bumming it. Wintertime is great for that, particularly in the Midwest.
Absolutely.
If you don't want to go outside.
I love a comedy. I'm getting through New Girl. After that, I'll go to find new comedy. I watched the first episode of this. I did enjoy it. Charlie, I looked on Wikipedia. The 3rd season is the final season.
That's what April said, but I was just like, you know what? And they did wrap it up in a little bow. So you know what? Kudos for a show that actually ends, right? Because how much stuff just continues to drag. Okay, so I also went to the theater, and my theater selection will tie directly into our Thunderdome topic. I saw the Meg 2, And before seeing the Meg 2, April and I had a lot of time in the car, so I was playing for her podcast I usually enjoy. Everybody knows one of my favorite podcasts is The Weekly Planet out of Australia, Nick and Meso, and they reviewed it, probably had a lot of similar things to say about it that I would, but one of their readers, I would love it if we got more reader mail, by the way. secretfriendsunite@gmail.com. Feel free to send us notes. I would love to read emails on the show.
Bring back the hotline too.
I would well, I think the hotline was a huge waste of time. Plus, it's more editing for you. I would love to have letters to the editor, the old mailbag. But this was a good one. Somebody dubbed this. The movie is Meg 2, The Trench. They dubbed it Meg Poo, The Stench, because that really nails it. This is a sequel that crams in every sequel trope that you can nail down with a blowgun. It's got you have your it's not a mustache twirling corporate bad guy villain because it's a woman who doesn't have a mustache, but just very much like, well, I know you guys want to save the earth, but I just want to make millions of dollars out of exploiting the oceans. Literally, that's a line of dialogue. I cannot make this up. You have a blonde girl who's wearing glasses and you think she's on the team. Then she takes off her glasses and she's one of the villains. So she does a reverse Superman. It's amazing. You have a swarthy, muddled accent Latino character who's a villain. That's very stereotypical and
How
a
many
bad
villains are in
stereotype.
this movie?
Well, there's those three. You have essentially velociraptors that are also undersea creatures that are from prehistoric times. See, the deal with the trench is that there's this thermobaric cloud at the bottom of the ocean that once you pass through it, there's a prehistoric
Aquaman?
world.
Isn't that where the creatures came from? Aquaman with his trench? Are they in
Yeah,
the same
sure.
universe?
You know what? At this point,
Sure.
with DC getting killed out, why not? But they end up going down. It's been 5 years, and Jason Statham's character married and adopted the daughter of the woman in the first film, but then she passed away. But her brother is running the institute that they all work for, and they're doing expeditions into the trench. But when they go down there, they figure out it's big. There's another station down there, and it's bad guys doing bad shit. They punch a hole that eventually heals up in the thermobaric cloud, but all these little velociraptor fish thing escape. And the third act of this film is a carbon copy of the third act of the first film. They go to a busy island in the South Pacific filled with tourists and there's 3 Megs now. 3 Megs. Yeah, Aruba, Jamaica.
That's right.
I want to take you. No, they go to a place literally called Fun Island. It's a resort called Fun Island. Can't make that up. So anyway, this movie was about 2 hours. There was no stinger. And April and I did what we do in our Patreon segment, Bag Trip to the Movies with the Cardins, which, by the way, we're recording and pushing out a new episode next week. We're watching Catwoman from 2004. I've never seen it.
God, I've never seen that one either.
I'm very, very excited. So Todd, you will enjoy it. But yeah, Meg Poo, The Stench. If you want to watch, it was great because we watched it. There's nobody else in our row, so we were very easily we could heckle it between ourselves, and we have fun doing that. That's us. But if you're really selective about movies you go see, this one's not for you. It's a dumb sequel, and again, it's a great lead-in as we leave the Geek Easy, and as I get out my Air Qantas app and I get ready to get that flight to the land down under, where Hologram Tina and the mutants are waiting for us, we're going to talk about the worst sequels ever made. Let's do it.
Welcome to another edition of Thunderdome!
Thank you, Tina. The mutants have been gathered for a topic or game to be entertained. And this week, we're doing a topic based on all those movies you were so excited for because you're like, the first one was great. I bet the next one's going to be even better. We're talking about crappy sequels, aka making a deuce. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and Todd, to our viewers, if you are watching us on YouTube, Todd has a great background, including several sequels. Fletch 2, Crocodile Dundee 2, Porky's, Smokey and the Bandit, which that's a great one. I watched it just recently, how bad it was. They really made another Pee-wee movie? I guess I forgot.
Big Top Pee-wee.
Jaws,
the third one on Netflix.
Caddyshack 2. I watched Airplane 2 recently, and it's awesome. Shatner's in it. They made it at the same time as Wrath of Khan, so he looks like T.J. Hooker. It's great. But anyway,
I think you're the only person that's ever said that, Charlie. So you should put that in like their byline so they get credit.
Yes, you think if they print a new copy of the DVD? I don't know. You know, where's the bar set for Airplane? I mean,
Well,
it's
Airplane's considered one of the greatest comedies
right.
of all time. But Airplane 2?
Well, you're right. Now, and more to your point, the overall picture of this is when you have something that's really great and standout. Fletch is a great example. One of my favorite comedic films. It's the pinnacle of Chevy Chase's career. How do you? Is it really possible to go above?
See, I thought Fletch was fine. It didn't do anything for me. I thought I liked him in other things. I don't know. I did hear good things about the newest Fletch movie with John Hamm, though.
Oh, gotcha.
But
but anyway, let's keep our focus on bad sequels. And we did actually get some feedback from Discord. So let's do this first. First one, I'll read it, and you can read the very long second one. The first one is from our pal, John Sear, our original Founding Secret friend, very best buddy to Todd and myself. He goes by Guy Bartendo, long story there. And unsurprisingly, he mentions Wonder Woman 84. John says it's not the worst sequel of all time, but certainly one of the most disappointing. Son of the Mask is probably the worst. I would have to agree without having seen it, but having seen trailers. Isn't Jamie
Kennedy. Yep.
Jamie Kennedy. There you go.
And the mask goes on a baby. Oh, that's all you gotta say. Yeah.
Gotcha. So Jim Carrey becomes Jamie Kennedy. Yikes.
And then famous Seamus from our Discord group as well. I'm going to say Transformers 2 Revenge of the Fallen. I enjoyed the 2007 Transformers movies. I was so excited for the sequel. I watched the trailers and ads for the movie so many times leading up to the movie. But when I was watching the movie, it was the first time I ever went, wow, this movie sucks in a movie theater. That was when I knew I was growing up. Giant robots and explosions weren't enough anymore. I need plot, well-written characters, something that would make me think there are so many things wrong. A lot of times you couldn't tell what was happening due to Michael Bay's direction. Yes, exactly. Obsession with explosions, boobs, immature humor. Optimus Prime's death was both pointless and stupid. The whole plot line where Sam cheats with a woman who turns out to be a Decepticon. Absolutely.
That's the one that I was just talking about. I was telling, was it in the pre-roll I was telling you, or when we were in between here, that I was watching it in a hotel room recently when we were on our trip, and it was that they escaped in like a Saturn Ion hatchback, were being chased by a woman that looked like a Terminator, and Sam, and you're saying that Shia had sex with her?
They were trying to seduce him, yes. So apparently, at some point, the Transformers were able to be like humans. I don't. It like I said, it did not make any sense. Famous Seamus then says, Sam's parents being the absolutely most annoying people in the film. Absolutely. Betrayal of Mudflap and Skids. This is where it's really bad. They're full on racial stereotypes.
Yeah.
Tom Kenny said in 2020 interview he was originally a placeholder, but Bay decided to keep him, which he was embarrassed by, and so many other things. Transform Range of the Fallen. You taught me what a crappy movie really was. I absolutely agree. This is where I actually decided to see the third film. Worst decision of my life. It got even worse.
I just never made it past the first, and I think Famous Seamus catches on it even in the first film. The racist stereotypes with the Transformers is like, what? You got to make one, basically kind of a smooth talking, blah, 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 saying a lot of just,
The first movie, it was what it was. It wasn't the worst thing in the world. It was fine. But after that, the last two films have been better, but still, it's a franchise that I think needs a lot of help. So, Charlie, the rule of a sequel is not necessarily the second film. It's just anything that expands the story. So it can even be a prequel, it can be a sequel in a lot of ways because it's more of that franchise. So it traverses time and space, the sequel. So with that, we have a list from Insider.com, and there's 27 here. And I think it's one of those scenarios where we can go through these really quick, and if you have a question, let me know, or if I have a question, I'll ask.
Gotcha.
So we'll go from the bottom.
You want to go from the bottom?
Go from the bottom. Yeah, we'll go from the bottom, go up. I gotta find the bottom. So I'll do the first one. Zoolander 2, a movie I never saw. I thought the first one was fine. Don't know if it was necessary. I don't remember anything about it.
I've 100% seen it. I also remember nothing about it. Even looking at this picture, I can't even picture the name of the woman. Who's the woman in the picture? Oh, Penelope Cruz, it says.
Yes.
Yeah. Number 2, I have seen this one, and Shia LaBeouf is back. Wall Street Money Never Sleeps. You get Michael Douglas, reprising his role as Gordon Gekko, and the younger version of him is not his son, but it's another Wall Street guy who's dating his daughter. And I'm not even that familiar with the first one. I think Charlie Sheen made a cameo. Kind of useless.
Yeah,
But Todd, this next one.
Yeah. It was
This
Michael
next
Douglas
one
and
is what
Charlie
you're talking
Sheen and Oliver Stone.
What's the first one?
Was the
Yeah.
director. Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
All right, but this next
Tra-
one is right in line with what you were talking about.
Yeah, Transformers Last Night. This is when the Mark Wahlberg era. Stanley Tucci was in this, playing a drunk Merlin. Anthony Hopkins. Let's just go on. That's all. I'll say.
Okay. I feel like we talked about this one recently because April and I were on a Terminator kick, but we didn't watch this one. This is Terminator Genesis with Emilia Clarke and Jai Courtney. I feel like he's somebody who, just like with Sam Worthington, the Earth opened up and swallowed him. He doesn't exist anymore.
You got
But-
bland white guys that anybody plays.
Yeah.
I mean, he was also in the last Die Hard film. Just like get a guy that looks like a guy.
Yeah. And he's Australian, but he could be perfectly American. So yeah, very. It was about cell phones or social media being the latest vehicle by which the Skynet does this thing. Who cares? This next one, it's unfair. I enjoyed this movie, but go ahead.
Yes, Teen Wolf 2, TOO. Essentially, we had Jason Bateman. I think he was playing the cousin of
Yes.
Scott Stiles. Or no, Scott.
Yep.
Stiles
Michael-
was his buddy's name. Scott
Yeah,
something
Scott-
or other.
Yeah, Michael J. Fox. That's all you
So
need.
essentially the same premise, but he was a wrestler this time instead of a basketball
No,
player
basketball.
in college.
Yeah, wrestler. Yeah,
It was-
in college.
yeah.
Wrestler in
Yeah.
college. Yeah.
So essentially the same plot. It was.
Yeah.
It really did nothing else, and it was just once again gimmick. You made money. Let's just repeat
Right.
it and hope it does well.
Speaking of our next film, Superman 4, The Quest for Peace, 1987. This was a terrible death rattle to the man who, first of all, one of the most gorgeous men I've ever seen, Christopher Reeve, but his last turn as Superman and kind of the end of the superstar phase of his career. You did have the return of Gene Hackman as Lex Luthor, but he had a stupid nephew who is John Cryer, who is now Lex Luthor. Kind of weird. And the first actual supervillain that he faces, I guess, outside of the other Kryptonians, but a kind of a manufacturer, the Nuclear Man, and they fight in space, and they pick up the Statue of Liberty somehow without breaking it. I mean,
They
it's
fight on
just
the moon.
Yeah, they fight on the moon. You got
He's got long nails.
Yeah, Muriel Hemingway is in this. You get the return of Lois Lane, so it's kind of like the last thing you see Margot Kidder in. Yeah, there's no surprise that this was the end of Superman for 20 years. We didn't get another Superman film.
Yeah, really tough. I mean, and then you talk about movies that kind of died on the vine. That would be the original Spider-Man trilogy, Spider-Man 3, a movie,
Ooh.
quite honestly, that sounds like Sam Raimi was forced upon Venom, like he had to do the character, didn't care about Venom, because Raimi loved the Stan Lee era, and Venom is not an old character. He's a new character. So it's just two characters.
It's so funny with the Venom character and the Sandman character in this film, because with the Venom character, they nailed his origin, but they didn't nail an actor because, Eddie Brock, as drawn by McFarlane, was a big beefy dude. But with the Sandman, they totally they totally decided to throw some extra shit in there. And then who was the third villain?
It was Harry the Goblin.
Yeah, Harry the Goblin, exactly.
Yeah.
Totally stupid. Now, this next one, I saw this recently for the first time ever. Now, Speed was a big movie right when I graduated from high school in 1994. The second one came out later in the 90s, and I always thought that Jason Patrick was just Keanu Reeves' character recast, and he wasn't, which I didn't know. Yeah, he's a different character, but it's Speed on a boat. And I just remember the trailer, and Sandra Bullock's like, well, I've been in a situation like before, and panicking just will not help. I'm like, oh, that's so clever. And the villain is one of the craziest dudes out there. Wasn't it the Green Goblin? Wasn't it? What's his
Willem
name?
Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe, exactly, who always plays creepy as shit. But yeah, totally pointless, nothing new. And then we segue into a film that we were just talking about. Todd, that's all you.
Yes, Son of the Mask. The Mask was like one of Jim Carrey's breakout performances.
Yeah,
really loved
big
it, based
time.
on a Dark Horse comic series. Essentially, I have not seen this film. Looks terrible and horrible. A baby got the mask. Yes.
The picture here is, I don't know if it might have been too young for your son, but with my older son, the Crazy Town, which was on Nickelodeon, this was the face of
You
one
mean
of the
Lazy
characters.
Town?
Lazy Town. Thank you very much. You had to watch it. Oh
Weird
my God.
faces, very odd
Yeah,
people.
that was it. So, all right. Well, Todd, this next one is yours, and because I didn't like the first film, I'm not going to like these. So go ahead.
Yeah, Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolutions. I was so excited for these films. They were filmed, I
Sure.
believe, back to back. They actually came
Yep.
out 6 months apart. The first one, the first part ended on a cliffhanger. The movie just went places you didn't need to go. It didn't do things. It was an example of a series that should have ended with being one movie and
Yeah.
been perfectly
Well,
fine.
the whole premise was very convoluted. Like, this is a cycle that's been going on for thousands of years, and every year, every blah 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 years, it resets and do this thing and that thing. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I didn't even like the first movie. Stop it. I'm one of the rare people who just doesn't dig the Matrix. So yeah,
That's
this
fine.
made even less sense to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, the next one was, and this was great. Jurassic Park was a huge movie. Todd, it was your year you graduated from high school. It was the summer between my junior and senior year. Beautiful movie. I saw it in Theater One and here in Studio 28 here in Grand Rapids, which was at one time one of the biggest movie theater in the nation. So it was a big deal to see this movie. Well, inevitably you have to come out with the sequel, which instead of the sequel focusing on a trilogy of characters, Sam Neill and Laura Dern and the beautiful Jeff Goldblum, they made it just Jeff Goldblum, which I'm like, yeah, Jeff Goldblum could carry a movie. But then they threw in there, he has a black daughter for some reason, who's a precocious preteen who does gymnastics. He's got a spunky girlfriend, and it's Julianne Moore. Thank you. And Vince Vaughn before he hit it big, and a bunch of other people that get eaten by dinosaurs. The dinosaurs make it to the mainland, so they're terrorizing San Diego. It was like we're trying to make it different, and different is not always great. I mean, the same is always terrible. Different is not always great. There, you can quote me on that one. They didn't hit the mark with any of the bits. It was a bad setup. The fact that anybody keeps, let's go back to the island, and I'm sure it's not going to be a problem. The setup to any Jurassic Park movie after the first one makes no sense. Be like, we're done. We're not going back for any reason. So anyway.
Now, was that based on a book? Because I know, obviously,
Yes.
Jurassic Park was. So
yes.
was the book bad, or did they adapt it badly, or did they say, we're just going to use the title and do our own thing? I don't know.
Kind of like
Fair.
Secret Invasion. That was Michael Crichton's Secret Invasion. They just said, we're just going to take the name. I don't know. All right, what do we got next?
Yeah, Little Fuckers. This is the sequel to Meet the Parents.
I mean, I thought it was okay, but I mean, it's not like the first one was. It was a cringy comedy, and this was just filled with a lot more cringy moments, right? So I don't know that I necessarily agree.
Going back to the well often rarely
Yeah.
leaves a full bucket is the best way to put this.
Oh, there you go. Going back to the well, that's a kind of a coin of wisdom there. I like it. All right, now I have mixed feelings about this next one, but we've talked this one to death. But go for it.
Yeah, Indiana Jones: The Crystal Skull. Needless to say, I think this is going to be a movie where people go back to it and say, "Oh, it's much better than you remember." I don't want to rewatch this movie and hope it's better. I will move on.
That is completely fair. That being said, as we move into the next one, I talk about this one pretty frequently. This was the first long-distance sequel that just didn't need to be made. Independence Day 2 or Independence Day Resurgence picks up exactly 20 years after the first film, and the aliens come back. I love this. Will Smith had no problem skipping the sequel to one of his biggest blockbuster hits, and boy, did he choose correctly. Yeah, and again, it's Jeff Goldblum trying to carry a sequel, but he's older and his back probably hurt a lot from trying to carry the Jurassic Park movie 20 years prior. This was just absolutely droll. They recast most of the roles. They tried to shoehorned in a cameo by Robert Loggia's character, and then they tried to stick, I want to say Bill Paxton, but it's the other Bill. Who's the other Bill who was president? Bill Pullman. They tried to shoehorn in another great speech out of him. Todd, you haven't seen this one, have you? You skipped it, didn't you?
Oh, hell no.
No, you didn't see. Hell no, you saw it, or hell no, you didn't.
Hell no, I'm not seeing that piece of trash.
No, I didn't
like
know
the first movie.
Oh, that's right. You are a hater. But yeah, that one is probably very close to the top of my list, though we haven't got there yet. But again, going back to the well without the full bucket, that's the next film. So go for it.
Yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine 2. I enjoyed the first one, but essentially you've got Adam Scott in number 2 replacing John Cusack. It essentially, once again, the bucket is dry. That well is not got any water for
and
you.
they're in a hot tub, so you wouldn't be drinking the water anyway. It's all chlorinated.
Probably a dead
Oh
body
my
down
God.
that well.
Oh my God. Well, and we're carrying a string of them because we got another sequel comedy in The Hangover Part 2 that, as I recall, it's just more bits. It's just, and one of them that I don't think made this list is Anchorman 2, and that's very close to my top of the list because it's nothing but bits. Let's take the best 5 bits from the first movie and do them again, but just it's
the rule
mad.
of comedy though. Comedies are all bits. Yeah. And
it's
work the second time.
But it's Mad Lib, so you try to put A into B and C into Q and F and you just can't make it work. And they went on to make a third one. Holy crap!
Which I've never seen. I saw the second one, didn't see the third. Then we get Grease 2. We like music. I like musicals. Grease 2. They replaced everybody except for the high school staff. Some of the pink ladies and Thunderbird showed back up.
Right.
And then you got a virtual unknown replacing John Travolta.
Max Cofield, who went on to be Rex Manning in Empire Records, one of a perennial film for us Gen Xers.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer, this might have been one of her first films before she did Scarface. So, it's once again, you got to have good songs for a musical, and I don't think the only song I remember from it is the one where the guy's trying to convince the girl that he should have sex because the bomb might go off. That's the only song I remember. Do It for America, with Adrian Zmed singing that to a girl in a bomb shelter.
John and I were having a conversation about Adrian Zmed out in Vegas because we were talking about Branson, Missouri, which is Netflix or Netflix, Las Vegas. If it was built by Ned Flanders, because there's a Simpsons episode that spoofs Branson and it has stars like Adrian Zmed. Whatever.
It's Vegas via Nashville essentially, because you get all those stars that. Then we got Godfather Part 3. This was a film.
You're stealing my thunder here.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But I'll jump in. It was terrible. No, it was funny because April and I watched The Godfather recently. She had never seen it, and obviously it's a masterpiece. The second film is considered to be one of the more flawless sequels ever made, even potentially greater than the first one, though I've not watched that one in a long time. Then 20 years passed, and we got this. And this was probably the first example of a long distance sequel that nobody needed. So this was the precursor to the Independence Day film. It's just nothing worked. There was an absolutely horrible performance by Sofia Coppola. As a teenager, she's turned into an incredible director, but it was total nepotism. It was also a hinted upon romance between her and her older cousin, played by Andy Garcia. Very distasteful. And in the end of it, she gets killed. Oh, well. Sorry for the spoiler. Tackling this next one, I don't know that I agree, but go for it.
I agree with you, Charlie. Glass. This was essentially the third movie in the Unbreakable trilogy, which, quite honestly, I never thought there was going to be more than the first movie. We got Split, which was a surprise, like, it's actually a sequel. And then we got Glass, which essentially everything was laid out to dry. There was no mystery about this movie. It was what it was. Ended kind of on a mystery. But, I think it was disappointing, but I would not say horrible.
Right. It's funny. This next one actually made my standalone list. Good Day to Die Hard. This takes everything that made sense about this is the fifth Die Hard film. This took everything that made sense about Die Hard and moved it over to Russia. And it's got Jai Courtney playing the adult version of John McClane's son, who's in the CIA, and it's just so. What are you doing?
It's gold, Jerry. It's gold.
I love this line. Bruce Willis isn't going through the motions as John McClane. He's sleepwalking. Nailed it. That is perfect.
Sometimes actors just don't care, and they just count the money. So there we go.
Yes, exactly.
The next one, Dumb and Dumber. When Harry Met Lloyd, a prequel to Dumb and Dumber. You didn't get the original actors. They did a prequel with them.
Right. Oh my God.
And the Farrellys didn't direct this either. So nobody had anything to do with this film. They finally made a sequel, which I never saw either, but I heard that was not very good either.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think I saw that too. And you're right. Yeah, where they find out they have fathered children or something. Sure. I don't know. Who cares? All right, moving on. And I haven't seen this one in many, many years. Caddyshack 2. We got some of the actors back. We did get Jackie Mason taking over the Rodney Dangerfield role. You got Chevy Chase, who very famously was like, "This is a paycheck for me." Oh, and it says right here, a lot of tired jokes from Mason and Chase, looking like they're there to get a check. That's all you need to know. That's all you need. Yeah, it's just let's go back to the well with your bucket.
Oh my goodness. Once again, I don't know if there's many good, and that would be a better question. Are there any good comedic sequels? I don't know if there are.
I'm still going to go to bat for Airplane 2.
Okay, that's yours, Charlie. That's your baby.
Airplane
your baby.
2. It's because of Shatner. Yes. All right, what do we got?
Bridget Jones, The Edge of Reason. I never saw the first Bridget Jones. I know it's like highly regarded. We've got Renee Zellweger with I guess it's acceptable British accent, where she was trying to get Hugh Grant, and
right.
It's a book series. It says Bridget Jones ends up in a Thai prison after authorities found cocaine in a gift she was asked to pack in her suitcase. That's a plot twist.
That's why she's making that face in that picture. Oh, we were talking about this one in the pre-roll. Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. You took a film. You took the quote unquote. It was phony in the end of it. Found footage film, which was it launched a genre, or it launched a craze, and then they came back and maybe 5 years later and tried to make a traditional horror film out of it, starring the dude from Bird Notice, whose name I don't remember, and it's just very run of the mill boring. You took absolutely nothing that was good about the first film, and that's funny because that describes the next one, and you made another movie out of it, so it tanked, but. The next one is one of my absolute least favorite. Todd, go ahead.
Yes, Blues Brothers 2000. Talk about a sequel no one wanted, of course. Obviously, John Landis, created one of my favorite movies of all time. One of my favorite musicals. Absolutely love it. But Landis and Aykroyd went and came back. Two of the essential people came back because they wanted to make this, and they brought John Goodman back with them. They had a third Blues Brother, Joe Morton.
It's a kid. Yeah. Aretha Franklin was back. She owned a car dealership. Yeah.
Once I saw the trailer, I'm like, nope, moving on. So
this was a one and done for me. I think I probably saw it after the fact, just out of curiosity and somewhat affection for the first film. Oh, Todd, this killed Batman for almost a decade. Batman and Robin in 1997. Yeah, literally says put the nail in the coffin of this franchise. Weird costumes. Schwarzenegger is Mr. Freeze. Trying to ape bits and pieces of what made Batman 66 fun, but the joke was over. And it was, this was the fourth film of something that started with Batman 89, which was a revolution in superhero movies, and it ended with this. So diminishing returns. Todd, the bucket was not only empty, somebody hit the director in the face with the bucket. That's how this movie got made.
The best thing about this movie was those mugs that McDonald's would give you, what you could buy for like $1.50. Those are the only things that are worth this movie. Oh my goodness, Charlie, that's how the cookie crumbles, or that's how the ice cube crumbles.
Ice cubes don't crumble. Oh man, I don't know if they ranked this, but this is a good one. Go for it. Take us home.
Basic Instinct 2. This was once again a long delayed sequel. 14 years after the steamy original, Sharon Stone returns to play crime novelist and serial killer Catherine Trammell. So apparently Michael Douglas said no thanks, and they brought back on the governor.
Yes, yeah, they have the dude who goes on to play the governor in The Walking Dead. And I've seen it, and I remembered nothing about it. It's a big fake out, like the first film is. A lot of twists and turns, but it's not at all sexy or anything that you would expect to be from the other film. So, that was the last one. Okay, so now we move on to the finishing strokes, where you and I pick our 5. And again, I wouldn't say they were explicitly rated, but since we've talked about everything on my list, have we talked about everything on your list?
Well,
almost.
Let's do this, Charlie. We'll go give our top 5. Go from 5 to the top. We'll go back and forth. So I know you gave your 16 more special notices.
I'll trim them down as we go here. See if we can get to something more.
We'll start with number 5, Godfather Part 3. Already talked about it. Bad idea. Cash grab, nepotism, recipe for disaster. You can go back and enjoy the first 2, but this just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Absolutely correct. Okay, so I'm going to go with I'm almost there. There we go. I'm going to go with Superman 4 as my number 5. I love Superman 3. I watched it just recently because I was having a conversation with a friend who tipped me off about this one, and I love Richard Pryor, so that works. And this didn't work at all, and it killed the franchise. So, c'est la vie.
Oh my goodness. For me, the next one is just funny because it's exactly the opposite of what the movie intended. Highlander, which I really enjoyed the first movie. Queen, like an immortal who there could only be one, and there was a quickening, and Clancy Brown was in it. Such a fun, weird movie out of the blue. And Charlie, I guess there could only be 2 because they made, well, actually more than that. They made series and movies after this, and they all sucked. In Highlander 2, The Quickening, Sean Connery came back for that. He was killed in the first one. What the hell? Nobody knows.
Why not? There
Why
you go.
bother? Oh my God.
Time vortex. I'll swing with Godfather 3 for my number 4. The first of the long distance sequels we didn't need, just didn't contribute. Nepotism, bad acting, terrible premise. It sucked.
Absolutely. Then I'm going to Grease 2. We already talked about this once again. Going back to the well, bad songs, trying to create lightning in a bottle did not work.
No, Amundo. Okay, I'm down to my number 3, Batman and Robin. Just talked about it. We started with Batman 1989 with Michael Keaton, and we ended up with Clooney and having it be an attempt to capture the lightning in the bottle of the Batman 66 TV series. By the way, I'm recording in the next couple of weeks a segment of The Facts of Geek Life covering the first season of Batman 1966 with my partner, Jonathan Snedeker. So that's not a reason to try our Patreon out. I don't know what to tell you. We're going to have a lot of fun.
At least George Clooney at least said, I'm sorry that I ruined Batman. He at least accepts responsibility. Yeah, Joel Schumacher did too. He came back and said, I'm sorry I ruined the franchise.
But at first he was like, it's the greatest thing. It doesn't have a weird accent. It's the greatest thing you've ever seen.
He's German.
There you go. That's a German accent. Exactly. I like it. There you go. All right, what do you got?
Caddyshack 2. Oh my goodness. Caddyshack's a classic. I mean, just so good.
I'm going all the way.
I don't even know what the song.
That's the song, Kenny Loggins. Yeah, I love Kenny Loggins, so that's not a great barometer.
Well, I do too, and he's been in he does a million soundtracks, but I mean, I totally forgot that song was from there. So
nope.
I mean, just essentially everyone they replaced was a letdown. And Chevy Chase was not a main character in Caddyshack. He was part of the ensemble.
Right.
And making him the lead when he was kind of his personality was not strong enough to lead that, and then having Jackie Mason come on to replace, just so many bad ideas.
It's just not a lot of clicking. No, I totally agree with you. Okay, my number 2 is the Blues Brothers 2000. Again, the Blues Brothers from 1980 is a paragon of our youth. We love it. It was perfect. It was one of the best SNL skit adaptations I think they ever did, and really, certainly after the death of John Belushi, just should have been left alone. And this was almost 20 years later, and it just didn't make any sense. So, and it was terrible. So there you go.
What are you gonna do? Money. Blair. I mean, well, after that, I mean, I guess we got our Crystal Skull vodka, so I guess something good came out of it.
Is that what spawned it? Yeah. Okay. There you go. Why not?
Exactly. And what is it? What are those? The Blues. What's his chain?
The House of Blues.
House of Blues. Are those still around?
Could be. Google.
Okay.
Google it later.
Vegas, right? We'll look at there. Okay.
I know there's a Hard Rock, but anyway, yes, we will look. There we go.
Absolutely.
All right. What do you got? What's your number?
My number one? Blair Witch 2. Totally. I mean, talk about. I mean, they did something different, which I'll give them credit for. But what they did was horrible. It should have not been touched. There was so much around that film.
Just like the Blues Brothers. Just don't touch it.
I mean, this film, in a lot of ways, changed cinema in a modern lens, kind of like Tarantino did. Found footage. This kicked off found footage, paranormal activity, things. So, I mean, the fact that they went and did a kind of like a conventional film. We did get the last Blair Witch, which I did not see, but I heard that was better. I don't know. Did you ever watch that one?
We did. It was okay. It was because it had the same premise set in the woods. They were going on a hike, whatever it is.
Sure.
This has spawned an expression for me. Don't feed the bears. That's don't make a sequel. Don't feed the bears. There you go.
Don't feed the bears. Don't get water from an empty well.
Don't feed the bears a bucket. All right, my number one is, this is not surprising, Independence Day 2 Resurgence, recast, ridiculous, trying to shoehorn in things, shoehorn in Judd Hirsch, shoehorn in Robert Loggia, and he was on death's door when they filmed. He was like, it was not good. And then tried to shoe in poor Bill Pullman and another speech. It was dreadful. And even with Jeff Goldblum trying to carry the movie on his back. And it had it started out a tradition, and again, this comes from the Weekly Planet, of start your engines, where they're like, now we're going to take the fight to their to space, and we're going to get them. And it was Brent Spiner's character who literally woke up out of a coma from the first film because you thought he got killed. Do you remember? And then he said, and they also put him in a same-sex relationship, which was very unusual. Came out of a coma, was in a same-sex relationship. And then he said, we're going to kick alien, and then the movie was over. You couldn't say the word ass. There you go. That doesn't fit into a PG-13 film.
But it was based on such strong source material.
I get, this would almost be one that I would tackle on a bag trip to the movies with the cards. We saw this with my mother back in 2016, and the camera, the lights turned on, and my mother turned to April and I and said, well, that was entertainment. Thank you, Mom. Appreciate it. Love you. It was good.
Oh my goodness. Well,
in the current lens, we would say that was content.
yes, that was 2 hours.
Yeah.
So you got our sequels. Thank you for everyone who participated in this. And if there's anyone listening who wants to let us know, you can email us, as Charlie said, secretfringetonight@gmail.com. You can post in our Discord, tweet at us, X at us, whatever it's called, Zeet. I think they say Zeet at us.
Oh, really? Is that it?
Yes, it's very weird.
Oh my God.
Let us know your sequels that you think are the worst, because I'm sure we didn't cover them all.
Oh, we couldn't possibly. But anyway, friends, that is the end of the show. Thank you for joining us. Todd, where do people find you out there?
At Toxtra, for the Twitter, the X. I'm also on Threads doing more things there. I did get an invite for Blue Sky. I'm going to give that one a try. Corey Dierig actually sent me that invite. I need to get on that and try it out and see which one, I guess we're going to have to be on everything, and then eventually they all go away.
Right.
And we'll see where it lands. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Fantasy football draft starts in a couple weeks. I'll be talking a lot about football online and having a good time.
You make it sound so inviting. That's awesome. Well, of course, you can find me on Twitter X at the C3. Go ahead and spell it out. As always, my lovely wife, April, and I do run the USS Grand Petoskey. That is the West Michigan chapter of Starfleet, the International Star Trek Fan Club. We are one of the biggest chapters in the world, based right here in West Michigan. I do also run Region 13, which is Michigan and Eastern Canada. If you're a Trekker within the sound of my voice in those areas and want to meet other Trekkers, please drop us a line at a website of that name or at our various socials, and we will connect the dots. With that, friends, as always, one more time, thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you that sharing is caring, and to keep on trucking.
Be the hero, not the villain.
In a truck.
Like the ice cube crumbles.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow at Secret Friends U on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.